Coming up on First at 4, one Eastern and Southern Kentucky Business Accelerator has announced the finalists for this year's pitch contest. And the governor calls on lawmakers to make more of an investment in education.
And we've got more beautiful sunny weather on the way as we head into tomorrow before changes work in. The latest on what those are coming up as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Eastern and Southern Kentucky Business Accelerator Invest 606 has announced 9 finalists for this year's pitch contest, which the businesses have a chance to win more than $30,000. The 9 businesses are spread all across Appalachia, combining to employ more than 44 people and bringing in $730,000 in annual revenue. Annie's Frugal Finery in Whitesburg is one of them, and owner Debbie Campbell called the nomination a great surprise.
It was an honor, and it was also a shock in some ways, but that we were chosen and as one of the finalists, and also just it helps to incite excitement for us, for our business, for our area.
Each business will participate in 6 months of training and then compete in a final pitch contest next April. We'll have more about this coming up tonight at 6. Hundreds of teens made their way to Pikeville today, all with one thing in common: a meeting of the minds with no males allowed. WYMT's Buddy Forbes, well, he was a male that was allowed in, but has more about the get-together and what it means for those who gathered.
It is a gathering for the girls as high school juniors from all around meet at the University of Pikeville to discuss what it means to be East Kentucky strong, sharing their stories and struggles, hoping to find strength. The Eastern Kentucky Strong event invited girls from all around to discuss where they are now and where their futures are headed. The event, which this year saw its largest turnout since its inception, included guest speakers and breakout sessions to help break down the walls while building up the women of Eastern Kentucky.
Learning how to kind of find that inner strength. They're going to be looking at personal defense, internet safety, dating safety, those kinds of things. Being strong, how to overcome obstacles and difficult times in their lives, and then living strong, really focusing on the mental health.
Those involved say it is all about empowerment, enlightenment, and eagerly stepping into a female-fueled future. In Pikeville, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Webb says this year's gathering was a success, and she is always in awe of the stories and bonding that happens when strong-willed women come together. Governor Andy Beshear is pushing for more investment in education before the next General Assembly session. Today, he outlined his goals to create more funding. It comes after national and statewide test scores showed the tremendous impact of the pandemic on students. Governor Beshear says the most recent data shows that Kentucky has nearly 11,000 teaching vacancies, and that is in part leading to lower scores being seen in the national report card and state report card.
I know our legislature would want to be thoughtful on this, but this is one they ought to be directly discussing, because that is a real way that we can ensure our teacher shortage is temporary and not long-term.
Governor Beshear says the state has a tremendous surplus, and projections from this year show that that will grow by 11% by the end of the year. He's calling on lawmakers to use that money to invest in education.
Well, absolutely gorgeous weather continues throughout this afternoon. We are cloudless essentially throughout many parts of the region, and that is leading to some gorgeous sunshine out there. Here's a look from our camera at the University of Virginia's College at Wise. Not a cloud in sight. You can see the sun setting there on the far right part of the image. 55 the current reading there. There's that sun setting from our picture vantage point there at Buffalo Mountain in Perry County, closer to where we should be, 61 there, and that's where most of us are. Low to mid 60s out there. 65 Middlesboro and 66 Jacksboro are warm spots at this hour. Pinpoint Doppler, well, there's nothing on it. We had a few clouds on satellite and radar earlier. They are long gone. You got to go up into portions of Indiana before you run into any cloud cover that might be an issue for us. So as we run through tonight, we're cooling off quick. 62 by 5 o'clock here within the next half hour. 50 by 9 and down into the 40s overnight with a few clouds trying to sneak back in. Now in a few minutes I'll have the latest on when we could see a return to some nice weather and then a return to some showery weather. That's in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, thank you very much, Evan. Law enforcement in Elliott County are trying to figure out what led up to a dog getting shot in the head. Some of the injuries are graphic. This 10-month-old puppy, now being called Elliott, was found on the side of Cold Springs Road Sunday. People contacted One by One animal advocates who helped get Elliott x-rays and surgeries at Animal Care Clinic in Huntington, West Virginia Monday. The bullet exited under his jaw. He was scheduled to go to Columbus, Ohio later today for a CT scan to determine his next steps in recovery.
We are always amazed. We shouldn't be. We see it all the time, that animals are incredibly resilient. And what would really do in a human, animals overcome.
The Elliott County Sheriff's Office is looking for information about the case. If you know anything, you're asked to call their office at 606-738-5422 or alert them on social media. A retired Army Master Sergeant is working against the clock right now, trying to get enough votes to pass a bill in Washington from his hometown of Paris. Leo Skinner wants Kentucky legislators to vote for the Major Richard Starr Act. The act would give veterans with combat-related injuries full disability and retirement pay regardless of the number of years they served. Right now, veterans only get concurrent retirement disability pay 20 years in.
I have a buddy from 3rd Group Special Forces who's a retired Sergeant Major who did 19 years, 224 days. And he is ineligible to receive concurrent retirement disability pay. It wasn't their fault that they were injured in combat, but yet because they didn't serve the full 20 years, they're having a direct offset, which is affecting them financially.
We'll take a look at the Major Richard Starr Act and which legislators support it, as well as what's holding it up in Congress tonight at 11. An investigation is underway in Kansas City, Missouri after a U.S. Marshal shot and killed a man yesterday afternoon. It happened while the officer was serving a warrant to 40-year-old Joshua Bales. Investigators say Bales came to the door and pointed a gun at the marshals. One marshal fired a shot, hitting Bales. He died at the scene. Bales had reportedly escaped from a halfway house in Leavenworth, Kansas. An arrest warrant for felony escape from custody was issued in September. He previously faced firearm possession, burglary, and theft convictions. Coming up on First at 4, one retailer is coming out with what they claim is the world's largest jigsaw puzzle.
And more pleasant sunshine is on the way through the weekend. Details on that on the way.